Hey everyone, this is Antoinette, your host of 112 International Women in Life and Leadership. We are so grateful to be back with you guys again. It has been wonderful just having a chance to keep this podcast going and just understanding the background of my will. For those for the first time just joining us, 112 International Women in Life and Leadership, or My Will, is dedicated to highlighting the mission that for your will and my will to represent His will. And we've really just tried to cover topics from mental health, motherhood, marriage, identity, and purpose, and everything in between to highlight amazing kingdom-minded women and journeys of kingdom-minded women that have really inspired, motivated, and encouraged us throughout this past year and going into this new year. We're already in April. I can't even believe it. But we're starting a brand new series. Stay tuned. It's going to be great. So hey everyone, it's your host, Antoinette Montalvo of Montalvo International, Women in Life and Leadership, or My Will. Welcome to a brand new series. It's been really fun just getting a chance to highlight some wonderful passions and purpose, as we have been talking about previously. Some very, very wonderful guests that have shared a lot of their journey and understanding of what it means to follow the passion and the purpose that God has given you. And now switching to this brand new season on conversations on love and marriage. It's sometimes not always a bed of roses, as some people hope for, but it's also rich and wonderful and amazing. And I'm really excited to connect you with a wonderful woman that is doing great and amazing things to encourage wives and young women and older women and every woman of every season, especially in the season of marriage and relationship, through a series that she has that she's launching out there. And I'm excited to highlight her, excited to highlight her journey. So I'd love to bring in Keturah Duncan. How are you, Keturah? Nice to
I'm
have you.
excited to be here. Oh, it's so good to talk to you. Yes, it's good. Good
Thank
stuff.
you. Thank you. Thank you. And I know you're probably been busy because I have been following along on a lot of your posts on Instagram and Facebook, and recently got a chance to link into your website. And so I'm just excited to share that, excited to highlight it, excited for it to be connected in this series that we have on conversations of love and marriage. And it's such a wonderful, timely matchup, just getting a chance to share that. So before I dive into all the nitty gritty, I would love for you to just share a little bit about yourself, any key areas of growth that you want to mention that have kind of set you up for where you are now, and a little bit of your snapshot in your journey of love and marriage.
So my name is Keturah Duncan, and I am a wife and a mother, and whatever else God calls me to do in a moment. But God, my life has been good. God has been good. Things have been amazing. Right now, I am, like you mentioned, I've recently launched what I believe is a God plan. What I believe is
Mhm.
a God assignment, something that I couldn't even have thought of myself, to be honest. Um,
Mm.
it's called Dear Younger Me. And Dear Younger Me, as we'll talk about, over time, but Dear Younger Me is my new baby. And I'm so thankful that God has assigned me to do it. Like, it has really been really, really decent. My heart and my desire is to see marriages be successful. My heart and my desire is to help
Mhm.
with the expectation as to what that looks like. Um, we hear a lot about the difficulties in marriage,
Mhm.
and yes, it is challenging, but nothing really worth having doesn't come with its level of challenges.
Mhm.
But when we do it God's way, with His expectations and with His help, it can be all of the amazingness
Yeah.
that we anticipated being. So, how I got into this, so I remember when. Going back, so my parents were married, and they were divorced, and I think it affected me and my brother in different ways, right?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
one of the things I think, even going through that for both of us, it really did give us an aspiration to have successful marriages,
Mhm.
or not have our children have to um, have a divorced family or have
Yeah.
a separated family.
Yeah.
And our parents are great. They did the best they could. They love us. They, like, it wasn't like we went without, but there is still a level of um, wholeness and desire that comes with, having your parents together, and just being in that relationship. So
Yeah.
I think one of the ways it has affected me, though, is just giving me the desire to want to see it work.
Yeah.
the desire to want to see not only a work in my home, but in the homes of those around me. Because unfortunately, that wasn't just my story. That was just kind of the space that a number of my family members were in. And I just didn't want that to be something that kept going. So I remember being in marriage counseling, and our pastor asked us, Pastor Jerry asked us, like, why do you want to do this? And I said, to show that it can work.
Yeah.
Now, when I when I said that, I didn't know all that was going to take. Just
Right.
being honest, like
Right.
like I probably been like, oh, I don't know yet. But with that, we have had some challenges. So my husband and I have been married going on 14 years this year,
Mhm. Mhm.
and we've been friends since college. So we've known each other for a while. And in around after having kids, things just change.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
take things for granted sometimes. You're kind of in the hustle and bustle of just being a mom and a dad and working and just all of those things, and we just got away from um, each other, and even just the goal of what it meant to be one,
Yeah.
and working in that. So what launched me, I believe, into the space that I'm in now is after being separated for 2 years and having some things go on
Yeah.
that were interesting to say the least, and to now come back together. I see the Lord hearing my prayer when I said I wanted to show that it can work. Um, Show that it can work in circumstances where others may have been like, nope, I'm not doing this at all. And to see how God um, blesses it, blesses your ability to kind of go through the for better or worse. I often say there's nothing worse than worse. Like there's no
Yeah.
worser.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just is worse. Better has an ER. Worse does
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So sometimes we forget that in the midst of all of it. So um, now going through the worst, and or going through some level of worse, knowing that God can still bless, can still keep, and make it decent
Yeah.
on the other side of
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so good. And I absolutely appreciate your transparency and just your openness and willingness to dive straight in, because I think now more than ever, there are many people who are finding themselves in these very tight places where they said, I just want to make this work to the best of the ability, but not knowing what storms, what challenges, what things that they're going to confront. And especially for, that this basis is for women, and just recognizing for many women, whether they have been married before, hoping to be married, in the middle of marriage. Maybe marriage is going wonderfully right now. Maybe it's not going so wonderfully right now. And if anything, I think the course of the last year has really surfaced a lot of things for a lot of people, even just challenges in ourselves. I just appreciate your dedication and commitment to seeing it change, because there are many people, I'm sure, that can say, well, once it's done, I'm done. I'm away. I'm never going to give it another chance. But just the passion and the drive and the commitment that you have to say, you know what? I want to fight for this, and not only for myself, but for any other person, any other woman, any other wife or future wife. I'm going to fight for their opportunity to see a healthy marriage as well. And so, in the process of trying to learn how to do that and have the right people around you as well, I stop for a moment and just commend you for just taking this, and probably taking many moments of pain and turning it into ministry, right? I don't think anyone wants to make that kind of commitment or sacrifice willingly, but it's like you can say, as the words of Joseph in the Bible, what was intended for your harm will turn for your good. And so I thank you for sharing that, and I thank you for being upfront about that. And I think that gives a lot of great insight, just in terms of your character and ability to say, you know what? I am dedicated to seeing things work, no matter what it takes to do that. And I think that many people need to recognize that when it comes to the truth of love and marriage, that it requires a level of investment, a level of work, a level of change with the seasons, right? As you mentioned, kids came, and that changes things. Priorities change. And I think everybody has gone through that space and phase, and recognizing that. And it's not to say, oh, I never want to be a parent because I don't want my marriage to, fall apart because of that. But it's just, there's all kinds of seasonal things that happen. It may not be the appearance of kids. It may be sickness. It may be this, it may be that. There's so many things, but you still have to be willing to commit to what you're going to do. So just I'm excited. I'm excited to see this ministry flourish and this calling flourish as you work through and strengthen and even move forward in your own lessons and conversations of love and marriage too. And so just thinking about that, and obviously you kind of, played on some of those challenges, and you mentioned some of those obstacles in your current life season, but what have been maybe some unexpected gifts or even lessons learned as you're navigating where you are right now and prior to, and maybe the people that you needed to have around you as you're moving forward to creating wholeness and healthiness in your marriage?
So I feel like I've been a very relational person, like even as a kid, and I see it in my son now. Like he needs to be around friends, he needs to be around people. Like
Hmm.
that's just kind of his makeup. And when I see it, I see me in that a lot. So I've always been, really relational and love people. But in that, I've noticed that I have some friends that I've had for 30 years, and then some relationships were really like seasonal,
Yeah.
like super seasonal. But in this marriage journey, I feel like the relationships that I've had came at the seasons that they were supposed to come in.
Mm.
I feel like the moms in the faith, um, the sisters in the faith um, that I've gained over these 14 years and even before, have come like at the appropriate time, and or not even the appropriate, like at the right time, and then have maintained, but just kind of in a different space. Um, and right now, I feel like um, just kind of learning from uh, learning from and appreciating just how to deal with those types of relationships
Right.
and how to cherish them, how to embrace, the wisdom that I that I've received over time. Like I love sitting at the feet of older women. I love it. Like I
Yeah.
love just like sitting and listening to like some of the stories that they've like even in passing. Like I listen sometimes to my grandmother about stuff that she says, or stuff like she would talk about my grandfather, and their relationship was unique in itself.
Hmm.
But just like how she still, even simple, like how she still called him daddy when she was talking
Mm.
to talking to my aunts and my grandmom, and my aunts and my aunts and my mom, and they're grown, like good and
Hmm.
grown, and
Yeah.
old, like you know what I mean. Just kind of like even stuff like that, and just like even when I was little and able to kind of be around of how he responded to those things, like so
Yeah.
just kind of picking up on things over time, listening, cherishing the learning
Hmm.
space
Hmm.
to be in, and that's kind of where I am right now. I actually was just talking to the Lord this morning, like help me as I want to be a good teacher,
Hmm.
um, as I want to be not just a teacher of the gospel and a teacher of ministry, but a teacher to my children, and a teacher
Hmm.
to those who God gives me, influence over. Even a teacher in regards to worship, like as a leader, as a worship leader,
Yeah.
even teaching in that space. But I want to always be a good learner,
Yeah.
so that or have be a good learner and have a love for learning,
Hmm.
so that teaching doesn't become taunting or
Yeah.
daunting. It doesn't
Yeah.
become like just something to do, but um, it's something that is kind of embedded in me and just a part of who I am. We recently, before the pandemic, so I guess 2 years ago, we had a pastor come to our church, and he was teaching on the fivefold ministry. And I was surprised to know that, or find out, like once doing like this assessment, that um my gifting was teaching and prophetic. And I was like, huh? No.
Hmm.
I did. I was like, okay, prophetic. Okay, I kind of get that, but I didn't think teaching at all. I really, really didn't.
Hmm.
Um, and then just kind of learning from it, understanding like, okay, I can see, kind of doing just some evaluations on myself. Like I could see how that could be, and then kind of embracing it and running with it. That's
Yeah.
kind of been the space that I've been. At the same time, trying to do it with a level of excellence and with a level of just vulnerability, so that God can kind of bend me where I need to be bent and straighten me up where I need to be straightened up, and all that good stuff, to make it what He wants it to be. Because at this point, I'm just like, whatever you want to do, Lord. I really am I'm open. I just want to be
Yeah.
used at
Yeah.
this point and just be effective, and not just popular. That's
Yeah.
the other. That's been like a big challenge, especially like
Mm.
in this just social media space where it's
Mhm.
like the likes and the all of that. How many people are looking at your reels? Like all of that, and especially when you're doing ministry or you're doing anything that kind of numbers matter.
Mhm.
It does make sense, but at the same time, that for me, it can't be why I do what I do. It
Yeah.
just has to be just like a bonus, or
Mhm.
just a way to kind of keep tally or understand, but it can't be why. It can't be the why.
Yeah.
And one of the things that has even been challenging to me, I think about Ananias a lot.
Mm.
Now, everybody knows Paul, right? But it was Ananias that came to him, when after he was blinded and he had spent 3 days just, being before God. It was being the Ananias. So I was like, Lord, if I'm never Paul, like if nobody ever knows me or pays a
Mm.
lot of attention to me, am I okay with being an Ananias, one that plants seeds into the lives of others that then get to go out and do whatever thing that's you know needs to be done? And that's what I kind of feel like Dear Younger Me is right
Mm.
now,
Mhm.
because it is my assignment, but the letters are not mine. They're not
Yeah.
my stories. They're stories of other sisters who have gone through, or are married, and some married and divorced, some widowed, some who are kind of even like in between, in those gray area spaces of life, that separation space, that have learned some things. And as we're looking at it, how can we, if I could go back and tell my younger self, based on what I've done, based on where I am, what would that look like? So that's not necessarily my story, but it's helping others to bring out their story, and then helping others to learn from those stories, and helping us all to be able to become better in that process, with the goal of having stronger marriages at that space. If my seed is just, hey, your story is important and it needs to be shared, and here I will help to do that. Am I okay with that?
Yeah.
And I am now.
Yeah.
But that came with, some time with Jesus, and just kind of realizing where my space is and where my gift is and how I can be used most
Yeah.
effectively.
Wow. And that's, I mean, I think that's so rich and beautiful. And just thinking about marriage in general and how all that ties in a lot of the ways that it seems like God has very much been grooming you, right? Because
Hmm.
I think in the context of marriage, we often think about it, whether we want to think about it or not, in the context of social media.
Hmm.
How liked are we by our spouse? How much are we being approved? Are we
Hmm.
getting the things, the attention, the whatever that we want? Is our marriage measuring up to what someone else's marriage appears to be doing? And we doing, all the date nights and all the roses and all the outings and all
Hmm.
the whatever? Are we always looking beautiful all the time? And it seems like, every picture that's posted is happy and loving. But sometimes, like you said, where are the quiet moments, the ones that are unseen, the ones where there may not be very much in your face? It's just, what are you doing on the inside to work through whatever you're working through, right? And I
Yeah.
think that that's such a big factor in the understanding and the context of ourselves, within marriage, and then marriage in general as an entity, just recognizing not only what does it look like we're portraying to other people, but what are we doing in our own time, in our own space, with our significant other, as well as with ourselves. What kind of heart work are we doing? And I love just how you're setting up, specifically again, this series, and just really wanting to be able to unpack the full scope of that series soon, in terms of this Dear Younger Me. But just recognizing, why did you get
Mhm.
married in the first place? Why do you want to
Mhm.
choose to stay married now? And understanding all the pieces that go in between. Was it for the pomp and the circumstance? Was it for the wedding day only? Was it for what people thought or saw? Or is it for the longevity, what you can produce now, what can stay, the
Yeah.
legacy of your family, right? And so I think a lot of
Mhm.
times, again, just like anything in life, there's seasons, right? There's seasonal ebbs and
Mhm.
flows. And sometimes there's beautiful high highs, and then sometimes there's unfortunate, very low lows. And then there's those moments, which I think sometimes are maybe some of the hardest ones, where it's just in between, where maybe there's nothing
Mhm.
spectacular going on, but there's also nothing like that challenging. So you just are trying to just
Exactly.
exist. And I think that's the course of life in general, right? But like, especially, as you're
Yes.
mentioning anything new you start, any endeavor that you start, or anything that you're putting into play, like there might come a moment where it's like the excitement of the newness of things, like you called it your baby. When you first have a baby in general, like, oh, everything, the baby can do no wrong, right? It's just like,
Mhm.
if the baby spits up all over me, oh no, it's okay, it's just the baby, right? But
Yes.
then when that baby turns into some, a toddler, or it has other things going on, or if it's just kind of even keel, there's those maybe you're just in the routine of life.
Yeah.
You're just going through the motions of it. You're keeping it alive and keeping it afloat, and you're making sure it's bathed and clothed and all the other things that come with parenting and life and growing something
Yes.
new, right?
Yes.
It's just being able to maintain that and not feel exhausted by the motions of life. And I think that's again key in every season of any relationship, whether it's a friendship or marriage, and then especially within marriage, because I think again, when the, so to speak, intentional or outside hype dies down, and there's
Mhm.
no one else that's like in the background cheering you on, doing what you're doing, but you have to decide for
Mm.
yourself every
Yeah.
single day, I'm choosing to be married to you and you're choosing to be married to me. And we want to
Mhm.
choose to love and appreciate and enjoy each other, whether a whole bunch of people are around us or no one is around us.
Yeah.
That's so crucial. That's such a crucial piece. And
Oh my gosh.
unfortunately, I've heard of like so many different marriages very much challenged by this particular space, that they hit this kind of plateau and it's like, what do we do now? Or unfortunately, you find these challenges, like as you mentioned, of things that you didn't think you were going to see yourself, having to deal with, or having to deal with that. But also it's like, for those who are willing, like when the dust clears and you look and say, wait, let me look back and go back to the beginning, like your series.
Mhm.
Why did I start this? What drew me to that other person? What do I want my younger self and even my older self to know about me now? What kind of things do I need the current place where I'm at right now to remind me of what I felt back then? Because sometimes you even have to kind of borrow some of those foundational things to help
Yeah.
pull you into these things right now. So I don't know if you can even talk a little bit about, I mean, just talk about the series, I guess, and maybe how all
Yeah.
of that can really tie into what it means to not only get married, but stay married on top of that.
Yeah. So actually, as you were thinking, and I was thinking about it earlier, the first thing is, like you said, why am I getting married? I had a
Mhm.
conversation with a friend of mine today, and I'm turning 40 this year, and you start having those questions like, okay, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing? Why am I doing it? And realizing that, when I was younger, I did a lot of stuff because other people wanted me to, or
Mm,
because it was just the cute thing to do. But at
right.
the end of the day, like, what in the world am I doing? And marriage is one of those things that you cannot do because other people wanted you to, and because you thought it was cute. Okay.
Right.
And
Definitely not.
it's not one of those things. And to be honest, it before, like I mentioned about my past, but before getting married, I told God, like, if this is not what you want for me, and this is not the person that you want for me, let me know. I am absolutely okay with walking away. I
Hmm.
was able to stick stay because at the end of the day, I knew that that my husband was what God had for me,
Mhm.
and not just something that I chose on my own,
Mhm.
or something that somebody, that I was made to do, or it was just a cute thing to do at the time.
Right.
So that's the first thing, like being being confident that this is what God wants for you.
Yeah.
Having those conversations, getting that proper counsel, and um, and then walking in it. Now, with that, of course, I might live an example. That doesn't mean you everything will be hunky dory and peaches and cream.
Yeah.
There's going to be there's going to be trials. For Jesus said, in this life you will have trials. There you go. And the scriptures talk about how marriage is like one of the biggest places you'll have trials.
Mhm.
But knowing that God was for us gave me the strength and the endurance to go, gave us the strength and the endurance to go on, and even challenged us when we didn't want to go on.
Mm, mhm.
Going back to the dear younger me, I think gives, a level of perspective. Just some things that you would learn from yourself, like, how am I doing this, and am I doing this well?
Mhm.
So I think that's just kind of where that lies for me.
Yeah.
Where that lies.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think that's such a real and very vital piece of this entire setup of conversations and just understanding right now where, again, there are many people, if we can be honest, that are at these kind of seasonal crossroads where they have to decide, did God call us to this or not? And if he did, then we need to do whatever it takes to keep it going. And now, obviously, this is not in the context of like extreme abuse or you are threatened for your life or there's something else that's going on that like you just got to work some other stuff out in that context. But if
Mhm.
God is saying, I commit to this with you,
Mhm.
and I know that you are safe to do this,
Mhm.
and this is the direction that he wants you to go, then you work those things out, with fear and trembling of God, right? And in the
Yes.
counsel of the right people and making sure that those people are surrounding you in a way that they're giving you counsel that's going to line up with God's word, right? Because I think a lot of times
Yes.
also when we're in these very intense moments of situations of conflict, of challenges, especially in the context of marriage. When you're in those hard places, it can be easy to be counseled by everyone else who's gone through hard things and doesn't have anything positive to say
Mm.
about it. And so you
Mhm.
need to find people who can step outside of even the hard places of it and say, let's go to scripture and
Yes.
see what we need to work through. How do we need to heal both separately and together to be able to move forward? Because I think, those things that you said, I think it's so I remember saying to myself, especially kind of changing the mindset, there was always, there's always this kind of slogan or phrase of, you complete me or the other person's going to complete
Mm.
you or this, that, and
Mhm.
the other. And it's like, no, 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 you should really be coming as two whole people. Like
Mhm.
relying too much on one to complete the other is going to place an unnecessary burden, or it's going to make you think that when things aren't always going the way that you hope for them to go, that
Mhm.
somehow you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And so just understanding the level of wholeness, and that's a continuation across the board in marriage, of constantly moving to a whole place. Maybe you couldn't get all the issues worked out prior to, but
Mhm.
but really intentionally working to do that along the way and finding the right people along the way. And I think constantly, as we've talked about, is having checkpoints every step of the way to say, okay, why did we get married? What did God call us to? What are we holding on for? Is it for someone else, or is it for us? And if it just seems like for other people,
Yes.
then God, show us what we need to hold on for each other and for what you are saying. And it can be challenging. It can be very challenging to work through that. But I think it was such a great, line that you said earlier. Anything that you have to work at is what really has the value and the worth, right? When
Mhm.
you have to really invest in something, when you have to really put a cost to something, you are going to value that thing, whatever it is, that much more. And this is not to, for all those who aren't married yet, to not scare you off and say, well, I'm not going to get married if you guys are talking about it in this kind of way. But I think, if anything, I think now more than ever, it's important to have these very real conversations about
Absolutely.
what you have to do to maintain what is really a gift. Marriage
It
really is
is
a gift. It's a gift,
an
and
amazing one.
an amazing one. And when it works the way it needs to, and it's invested in the way it
Mhm.
needs to, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to have the companionship and the
Mm.
joy of, the person that God has crafted for you, to be able to learn together, to be able to produce, new children
Mhm.
together, new lives together, new legacies together, to be able to live out
Mhm.
dreams in a safe space, with
Mhm.
the person that God has crafted for you. I even
Yeah.
think about, this particular podcast that I've been doing for the past year and a half. It was as a result of the dream of my husband, because he's the media guru. I would have never in a million years really thought of myself doing this either. But he's the one who
Mhm.
sets this up, even for me to be able to do. And I've said this on previous episodes. All I have to do is sit down and talk. I just need the
Mm.
content in my mind. And so it's just thinking about the beautiful gifts that come through these things. And you really start
Mhm.
to flourish in yourself in ways that maybe you never imagined yourself being able to flourish in the
Mm.
context of marriage. It is absolutely a beautiful thing. But
Mhm.
with those beautiful things and knowing the context of what God wanted in marriage, there are many, many things that will try to challenge your marriage away from you. It will be, I
Yeah.
mean, every possible thing that could possibly try to like throw you off, it will try. It could be
Mhm.
small things, it could be big things, it could be things you never thought would happen. It could be things thinking like, why is this happening on the context of this thing? I mean, and it
Mhm.
and it's just, again, it's just that constant reminder and those constant checkpoints in life, just like you would do a checkpoint, in your profession, in your personal life, when you have to have checkups for your kids, you have to have checkups for your marriage too, and say, okay, let's stop
Yeah.
and say, where are we now? where are we going? Where do we want to be? And even
Mhm.
checking for yourself and saying, all right, dear younger me, even if that younger me was 10 minutes ago,
Yes.
what are we doing today? How do we want to see
Yes.
things today? And declaring the
Yes.
right things over what you want to see happen in today.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it can go either way, right? You can also have
Yeah.
possibly started on a very rocky road at the start of your marriage, but
Mhm.
because of the work that you've done, now you have beautiful and wonderful things that have come out as a result of it. So it can, there's
Mm.
so many different dynamics that can come with that. So
So
as we
many.
think about all of,
Yes.
those pieces and, try to wrap up the last few minutes of it, are there key other supports or resources or tips that have helped you in this current state, helped you balance the day to day, thinking about managing this new ministry that you're birthing, motherhood, marriage, where you see your life going, and then really kind of diving in and just promoting the things that God has placed on your heart to strengthen other women?
Yes, so there are a couple of things. One has just been some really dear younger me to me moments,
Mhm.
and having conversations with myself, identifying what some things are in me. And one of the things, honestly, for me is even with God Be Big. So the name of my ministry is God Be Big, and
Mhm.
God Be Big began interestingly enough. I was leading worship at my old church, and my pastor turned to me and was like, "You need to be praying God Be Big." And I looked at him like,
Mm.
"Okay," just out of obedience. I said, "Okay," and then I went a couple of days and I was like, what does that even mean? Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm just going to pray it because I'm going to be obedient. I feel like if he came out of nowhere in my mind and said that to me, that there's something to it. And two of the things I've learned from that, which even, kind of birthed the ministry is one, I had no problem praying for you and your ministry and believing that God was going to do something in you that was big and amazing. But when it came to me, I struggled with that.
Mm.
I
Mhm.
struggle with, am I worthy enough? Because I think that the Lord loves me, but am I anything enough? Like
Mm.
whatever that enough was I
Mm.
enough for the Lord to then be big in me? So
Mhm.
I realized that I was stopping the bigness.
Mm.
Like
Hmm.
it was my lack of faith in that moment that was stopping the bigness based on past experiences or situations or just not feeling like, it was good enough for me.
Yeah.
Though I could pray the same thing for you and believe that God was going to do it all day.
Hmm.
So, realizing in this season that I'm good. Like
Yeah.
whatever I need, the Lord has it, and if I ask for it, I can have it, and He will give it to me in the portion or the timing that I need it to do what He's called me to do. So living now in a space of having enough that God can be big in me enough to do what He wants to have done in
Mhm.
me.
Mhm.
So coming to some realizations in that. The second thing is my husband is super supportive,
Mhm.
and it makes it so much easier
Yeah.
to do this. Super supportive about even sharing portions of our story.
Yeah.
Super supportive about me being able to kind of just flourish in the space of doing ministry and being concerned about other people and just being transparent and all of those things. He's super supportive, so that's been helpful. But I think the biggest part in this season is one, having people around me that love and support me,
Yeah.
that mothers in the faith, sisters in the faith, that are just like, whatever you need, I got you.
Yeah.
But even more than that, knowing that if it's just me and God, like you said earlier, like if it's nobody else around, and in this baby moment, right, if there's nobody else around
Mm.
at 2 o'clock in the
Mhm.
morning, I still have to take care of this baby. It's still mine. It's still it's still important, and I'm still important to its success. I'm still important to its success. Like our pastor talks a lot about, like, God can do anything, but
Mhm.
he uses us to do it. So
Mhm. Mhm.
being open to be used. The second thing, or maybe the third thing at this point, is I recently went through a class called, or I'm going through a class called Ecclesia Accelerator,
Mm.
and it's been really good.
Mhm.
And it's been good.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
it asks us to identify a place or a space that you wanted to
Mm.
see transformation in the world. And the first thing I
Mhm.
thought about was marriage. The first thing I thought about was marriage and wives, and just allowing them to know how
Mhm.
amazing they are, and how much power we have over or
Mm-hmm.
in our marriages, right? So it's it's this movie. It's not a Christian movie, but what is it called? My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a scene where the father, the daughter, and the mom were at a table, and the dad's just kind of talking in his own world. And the mom looks at the daughter and said, "Yep, he's the head, but you're the neck."
Hmm.
And I said, "That thing is awesome." Like, I didn't realize how prophetic
Yes. Mm-hmm.
that was, in the sense that, like, what is a headless body?
Mm-hmm.
Where is a head going without a neck?
This is true.
It's not. It's not going anywhere.
Nope.
And I just was like, wow, Lord, like, thank you for just those revelations. And I want others to know that even when things are seem crazy, which they could be, and when they're good, you have a level of authority and a level of power within your marriages to see some success.
Hmm.
To not even see some success, to see, especially in conjunction with the Holy Spirit, and with God, we can have all that God wants us to have.
Mm-hmm.
We can have it. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't give it to us so that we couldn't have it, or give it to us so we could ask for it, so he wouldn't give it to us. Like, that's just not who he is. So that's all been a part of this. So this dear younger me came out of that. Just me kind of saying, Lord, this is where I want to see transformation. What can we do?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what can we do? And Dear Younger Me came out of that. And I literally just kind of started looking through my phone and thinking about the women that I know and I trust, that can be transparent, that can be real without being derogatory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that can be real and give a real testament, of who God is and what he can do in you. When my husband and I were separated, I love her. She is my mom, though she's not my real mom.
Mm.
She is a mom to me.
Yeah.
And she said the greater work is being done in you. Like, while you're looking at everything else that's going on around you and how this is not fair and what all of that, the greater work is being done in you. Like, there's some real stuff being done in you. And that's what I am seeing this Dear Younger Me letter doing as well.
Right.
Like, I'm hearing testimonies of how I wrote this letter and the healing I was looking for in times past. I didn't get it like I got it in this.
Wow.
Like, I've been married for ever, and this is taking us to a place that I didn't think we could be in, because now my mind is changing.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm seeing, as I'm talking to my younger self, not just what I should have done, but what I can do right now. Like, it's not too late.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I can start implementing these things that I wasn't doing before, or I knew to do, but I just, out of hurt or out of just frustration or whatever the case may be, I didn't do before. Now I can.
Yeah.
And there's a level of freedom in that. And when you're free, your household gets
Yeah.
free. Like, you do things differently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You do things differently as a mom. You do get the temperature of your home changes. Like, the way you walk around, you don't look mad and angry as much as you did before. You smile harder. Like, all of that
Yep.
takes place, and I'm seeing that. Like, I'm seeing that. And like I said, I've read every letter so far. I hope to do this as long as the Lord allows me to. Right now, I have enough letters to last me through the rest of the year.
Oh, I love
right?
that. I love that.
And I am so hyped. I'm so excited. Like, if you can see my smile, it's so big. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited, because as I'm reading the letters, like, all of the letters have something about, keeping God first,
Mm-hmm.
knowing yourself, like you talked about, being a whole person, knowing yourself, all of those things. But then every letter has something different,
Mm-hmm.
something uniquely different in it, which shows, one, just how God has made us all different, and then how we can all learn from each other in a different space. You're not reading the same letter 50 times.
Right.
At all.
Right.
Like, every letter is different. So it's just been I could not really express the excitement. But I'll do the best I can. And that's another thing. Like, in the past, I've been very, like, chill about the things that I've done. The songs, the music, I've managed other artists, even getting married. Like, I've been really chill, but this one, I'm like, God, I'm gonna be excited. I'm gonna be as excited as I feel in my heart, because I feel like it'll be contagious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you're just okay about something, everybody else will. Why should I expect other people to be excited about something I'm not super excited about?
Mm-hmm.
I am super excited about this. And I believe that it will be a seed, if nothing else, for some really big trees coming
Oh,
down
I
the line.
love
So
it. I
I'm
love everything about that. And I can feel, I can hear, I can sense the excitement. And if anything, it's almost like the very ministry that God places in your heart heals you. And
Mhm.
then, like you said, heals everyone else
Yes,
around you, right? It
yes,
ignites
yes.
a new burning passion in you that maybe you didn't get a chance to experience or never saw yourself experiencing into now. And that's transformation, right? It starts with you, and then
Yes.
that burns everywhere else around you. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for you. I'm excited to see how I know many women will be impacted by all of this. And so, I mean, as we wrap up, because this was such a beautiful episode, and again, thank you for your honesty, your transparency, your willingness, your passion to just contribute to this conversation of love and marriage, and then also to minister to other women with your own experiences and understanding as well, godly counsel in all of this. And I pause right now to say for anyone who needs additional counsel, seek it out. Don't try to figure it out on
Yeah.
your own. Please find the right
Absolutely.
godly counsel to place around you, for you
Yes.
and for your marriage, pre-marriage, post-marriage, during marriage, everything of, thinking about marriage.
Yes.
Find the counsel around you, because that in itself is going to set you up. It's one of those things that, a lot of times we think we have it figured out. Yeah, I'm going to be good because I'm great. But a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. So just even having the right
Mhm.
things or people in place, even if it's not for now, at some point later down the road, you are going to need it.
Mhm.
So just to have those things in
Mhm.
place. So just for ways to people to find what you're doing, if you can give your Instagram handle, the website, ways for people to connect with your newsletter so that they can have reminders, just so they can stay connected as we watch God be big in you, and
Yes.
really, really allow just this passion to, kind of burn around all over.
Yeah. So everything right now is gotta be big.
Hmm.
IG is gotta be big. Our website is gotta be big.com. Facebook is a gotta be big page. And Twitter is gotta be big. So everything is gotta be big right now. And that's what I want. I want to see him big in me, and I want to see him big in everything connected to everything that's connected to me.
Yeah,
Like it's just
that's good.
we want to see God be big, and everybody that's listening to this, we just speak blessings and grace and
Hmm.
wisdom and knowledge and understanding, and peace and strength, through this journey of life, and that includes marriage, and that includes just relationships overall. But
Hmm.
yep, I just want to see God be big, and I want to see that be the testament, because He is.
Yeah.
He is, and he he just is, and he's not going to stop being, but he can be in our eyes, differently and bigger if we just allow him to, and we allow our faith to connect to it. So everything is gotta be big
Oh, I
right
love
now.
it. I love it. So connect to God Be Big across any social media platform. Get connected to
Yeah.
the Dear Younger Me series. Keturah, thank you so, so, so much for just sharing your time,
Thank
your
you.
wisdom, your insight, your story, your journey. And we're excited. I'm excited to see God truly be big. And like she said, don't you
Awesome.
limit God's bigness. That's all the time we have today. Thank you all for joining us on Montalvo International Women in Life and Leadership. I am your host, Antoinette Montalvo, and you have been listening to this episode in the series of Love and Marriage with Keturah Duncan, over the ministry of God Be Big. Connect to her Dear Younger Me series and really just allow yourself to be encouraged. Use this time if you are waiting for what God has for you, if you're waiting for the bigness of whatever that is. Get prepared now. Get your heart, your mind, your spirit in the right place now. And if you are in the middle, in the throes of all kinds of life circumstances, let this encourage you and remind you why God is big, who He is, and how He can continue to do that. So we're so excited to see you grow. We're so excited to see amazing things happen. And we know that you will truly allow your will and my will to become His will. All right, all, take care, stay tuned, and we'll talk to you soon.